This project will require some little templates for the letters for the engraving and such, and so I turned to Mr. James Clow of Clow 42 for his assistance. Now what he's going to do is going to be a sort of a spectacular thing, because he's going to take control of my head and direct me in using Fusion 360 to draw all the little files, the STL files for these letters, so I can print them out on my 3D printer. Now you guys, if you watch the ARW discussion, you saw Billy Huddleston take control of Winky's wood lathe, CNC wood lathe, from a couple states away. Well, Mr. Clow is going to do this from more than 1,000 miles away. He's up in Iowa, Idaho, or somewhere, and this will be a spectacular event. I'll show video of that at the end of this video. Welcome to ARW. I'm Harold, and today we're going to start on a Joe Piezinski project. It's a pantograph. I bought the plans from him, and I'm going to work from those to build my own. Also, I got to point out something. I got this letter from Mr. Ryan Wright of Wright Machine Services, which is a lot better than Wrong Machine Services for sure. And he's up there in Kamloops, BC, which is pretty near to where AVE lives. AVE lives up there in Kanukistan, which is not far away. And I was watching one of Mr. Wright's videos, and he's got interesting videos. There he was with a short sleeve shirt and his son, you know, with a little more than that on, out there working away, and there was snow piled up everywhere. And I thought, boy, these guys, they build them different in Canada. I got cold wash. I had to go put a blanket on myself to finish watching this video. But maybe you guys would go over and take a look at some of his videos too. I'm sure you'll enjoy them. And he wears a neat hat. I like it. The guy I used to work with wore that same hat. Well, not the same one, but one like it. And I was just thinking, I was assaulted by crepe myrtle. I planted that darn thing. I've trimmed it and fed it and cleaned it up. And then I was walking by to go to the mailbox the other day, and it just reached out and whacked me on the head with one of the branches. That's not much gratitude, to tell you. Alright, anyway, let's get on with building this pantograph. And I'm going to start on this video trying to remember to add a price list somewhere in the video so you know how much the project cost. It might be interesting to somebody, it might be not. You never know. But anyway, I've got a pile of aluminum, which cost me, the parts that I'm going to use for this, about probably $65. The whole order that I placed was $107, but this 2-inch, 1 by 2-inch stuff here, it's only going to use just a little bit, so I'm knocking off a good bit. That this piece was 45 bucks. That 1 by 2-inch aluminum. And what we're going to make from these little guys right here, I can get one of them to come loose, and we're going to start it on the saw, bandsaw. We're going to make pieces like this with holes drilled in it, and there's going to be several of them. I think 2 of each size, so that'll be 4 pieces, maybe more. I've had this a while, and I don't remember how many pieces I'm making, but I got enough material to make it. Alright, so while you're taking a little sip of your beverage, I will get these things blued up a little bit and measured and cut over there on the bandsaw. Well, I wasted quite a bit of red colored steel dye or metal dye on that before I realized that I was dumb. I only need just well, one marked, and then I can lay it on top of the next bunch to be made. Oh well, it's not easy being an old redneck. And there we are, project starting on the saw, just like they always do. Now, I marked these things off with my Randy Richards scribe. Well, one of them, I've got a round one and a hex. Prefer the hex because it doesn't jump up and run away like the round one does. And I've got little pieces here that are extra. It dawns on me that 2/17 is something like 34, and I bought 36-inch long pieces, so I'm not cutting it out of the middle. Alright, anyway, while you guys are taking a nap, I'm just going to keep on cutting these one at a time. There's another part of the project, that's the die grinder that's going to do the engraving of letters. And yeah, I think it was about $40 or $45. I'll look all that up and write it down on some part of the video. And of course, if you're going to make if you're going to make a pantograph, you have to have letters, you know, patterns for your letters to make. And using Tinkercad, I made up an alphabet of letters. And after creating these, I looked on them and I found that they were an abomination. I guess. And so I thought, well, how can I get these letters made without them being so bad? And I thought about, well, I know an electronic genius who's also really super good with Confusion 360, and that's Mr. James Clow, and he's going to make the letters for me, or at least he's going to make the files, and I'll print them out with my 3D printer, supposing that I get it going. And he said, don't worry, he's got a psychic modulator demodulator that he was going to use to go through me to let me design the letters on my computer, and he would do the thinking for me. I've never seen a psychic modulator demodulator, but I guess I'm going to. It's something he made up in his laboratory. Alright, so using an edge finder, I'm going to find the edges here, and I don't know where the y-axis is at. There we are. Within 6/10,000ths of each other both times. I'll take that as good enough. Alright, now then, I'll put this guy in and determine how I'm going to know where X is at, because it's going to be hanging way off out on the end. So, that's a whole nother story. Alright, we're going to take this guy and line him up with a square and clamp him down. And he doesn't have to be perfect in any of this. The pressure on him is going to be very low, so how much I can get this down. Alright. Now then, this will mark X, as that lazy machinist calls it. I always get a kick out of it when he says it. I'm sure it's correct, but you know, what can I say? I still get a kick out of it. Alright, now then, I'm going to put a little jack under it to take the downward pressure off, and we'll see where we go from there. Using the edge finder, we'll find X right here. There we are. Having found it, we will use it. Alright, so this is a perfect opportunity to use the SDM function, because I've got like about 16 or 17 data points here, and I think that's what we'll do. Okay, so the first one, of course, Y is halfway across. It's the center of the 3/4 inch piece. The first hole is at .350 on the x-axis. Okay, and that's what we're going to make the hole there, and then we'll move to the next data point, and we'll enter it into as SDM 2 and 3 and so on, like that. Okay, so let's take a look at something else. Alright, I went back to absolute so I could be absolutely certain that I'm in the right spot. Okay, so here we go. First hole. Now that's not the size, of course, that's just to locate it. The next hole is at .850. So crank it over there. Okay, so there we are. Let me continue. What I'm going to do is, rather than keep you guys awake for this whole thing, I'll go ahead and enter these holes and the values, and then I'll wake you up again. That'll make it a lot more pleasurable to view. Alright, so using the SDM function, I have set points for every one of these holes, and what I did was I put it in absolute mode, and I moved to wherever the drawing showed the next hole to be, drilled the hole, went to the SDM, and I only changed the X value, but the X, I took it and I put 0.0 in it, and then moved on to the next one, and every time I made a hole I would make X 0.0. And then when I came back to check them with the SDM points, every time I would stop at 0, I would be on top of a hole. So I know they're all dead on and just right, and the next piece I put in there doesn't have to be marked. It'll get the holes in the right spot. In order to make my shop a little more livable, I'm going to replace the old noisy compressor with this one, and I have never cranked this one up yet. We're going to do a sound comparison. I'll go over to the old one and crank it up a second, and then we'll come back over to this one. Okay, here we are at the old one. Now we'll go back and compare the sound of the new one. Alright, flip the switch. Oh, that's going to be better. A lot better. Okay, so I've drilled all the holes except for this one on this end and the two on this end. And they're specified as .200. So I've got a .199 drill bit and a .201 drill bit. I'm going to try the .199 and see if it drills a hole a thousandth larger. And we'll get a plug gauge to determine that. Alright, let's start drilling. Did I move the camera? No. Alright. Alright, let's get that out of the way. That almost goes in. I don't know if it's stopping it down there or not. Well, it's a little bit stuck, but it does go in. So I guess we drill with a .199. We're going to get the right size hole. Okay, so I've finished this 6 pieces, and now we will do these pieces right here, they're the 10 inchers, and I believe there's how many, maybe just 2, I'm not sure. I'll have to look it up here. So that leaves me the 2 10 inchers, and all except for the hole at the end, all the other holes are exactly the same as I put on the other guys, so I can use the SDM settings and just go right for it. So that's what we'll do. Alright, so I've got a pile of parts now. I've got 6 of these guys, and I've got 2 of these. I'm going to have to cut one off, because with this one, even though I had everything made for myself, I come zooming down here, and instead of drilling this hole .200, I drilled it .250. Somehow I just was compelled to mess up. But these two have the right size holes in the right places, and I'm going to deburr them, and then I'm going to call it a day. Well, here we are in Redneck Workshop, getting ready to crack open a new jug of moonshine. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do today. Something's trying to take over my brain. Oh my confusion. 360. Yes. Make sketch. Yeah. Yes. I should say. Yeah. Oh my confusion. 360. Make sketch. Ah. Ah. Oh. Oh. Gosh. I feel dizzy. Blurry. Everything's blurry. Oh. I don't think that worked out, or did it? Check my computer, see if I got any drawings. Well, so one day Boudreaux, he stops into Isidore's place, which is the local watering hole there, you know, and he walks up to the bar and he says, "Hello there, my friend, Mr. Isidore." He says, "I'm sure glad to see how you're fixing up this place." Isidore looks around. He says, Are you drinking already? Drunk there, Boudreaux?" He says, "I ain't done nothing to this place in the whole 40 year I've been here." Boudreaux says, "Oh no," he says, "you done fixed it up." He says, "You got 4 door." Isidore looks around. He says, "No," he says, "there's just a front door and a behind door like always." Boudreaux says, "I'll tell you what," he says, "I bet you $50 I can show you 4 doors." Isidore says, "You own." He says, I need to make a little money." So Boudreaux says, "What?" He says, "The front door," he says, "that's 1 door, right?" Isidore says, yeah, that's right." He says, "And there's the behind door." He says, "That's 2 doors, right?" Isidore says, yeah, that's 2 doors." Boudreaux says, "Your name is Isidore. That's a door, ain't it?" Isidore says, "Well, yeah, I guess so." He said, "But where is that 4th door?" Boudreaux points down at the sign. He says, "Right there, that cuspidor." He says, That's a door, ain't it?" Isidore says, "Yeah." Boudreaux says, "That's 4 doors. Give me my $50. So he took his money and went on off. So Isidore's sitting there fuming over this whole thing, you know, being took like that. And in comes Thibodeau. So he says, "Hello, Thibodeau." He says, "I sure am glad to see you, my friend." He says, "Especially on a fine day like this when I done fixed up my place so nice." Thibodeau looks around to the right and left. He says, "Isidore," he says, "you ain't done nothing to this place in the 40 years you've been here." Isidore says, "Oh, no." He says, "Now," he says, "I got me 4 doors now." Thibodeau looks around and says, "Isidore," he says, "you got the front door and you got the behind door." He says, they always been here. That's all the doors you got." Isidore says, "No," he says, "I bet you $50 I can show you where all the doors are at." So Thibodeau says, "Yeah, okay." So he throws down his money. Isidore says, "The front door," he says, "that's 1 door, right?" Thibodeau says, "Yep." Isidore says, "In the behind door," he says, that makes 2 doors, right?" Thibodeau says, "Yep." Isidore says, my name is Isidore. He says, that's a door, ain't it? Tevitas, well, yeah, I guess so. And Isidore starts pointing down the floor, and he says, oh, he says, here's your $50. He says, that's $100 that dang spittoon done cost me today.